for your likes, for your shares, for your positive and encouraging comments, for subscribing to this channel, and for your monetary donations to this channel. I just want to simply say thank you. I truly appreciate your support. May God continue to bless and keep you all. Hello. Happy Monday, everybody. Can you all hear me? Please put a 1 in the chat to let me know that you can hear me. Okay, thanks, Senna. And how is everybody doing today on this wonderful day? Let me go ahead and see who I have. That's good, Josh. Let's see who I have in the chat. First of all, I have, I said what I said. I have Shanice, and I also have another panel guest backstage. Amen, Joe. Not stressed. So my other panel member will be joining shortly. In the chat, I have, of course, Shanice, my son-in-law, Blaze. Oh, let me go back and say my daughter, Shanice, before I have to hear it. My son-in-law, Blaze, Joe, sis, I said what I said, Senna, Joshua, Jamila. Hey, Jamila. You know the drill. Give the baby a hug and kiss for me. Happy Monday. Hey, Real. Happy Monday. How are you today? Thanks for joining. So today's question, what we're going to be talking about is, has the older generation failed the younger generation? That's today's topic. Feel free to comment in the chat if you like. I'm going to also put the link in the chat. If anybody else wants to join, you can feel free to come up and join the conversation. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody else coming in. Okay, I pinned the chat. I pinned the link, y'all. So if anybody wants to join the conversation, and I would say, especially if you are in your 20s or 30s, if you're in your 20s or 30s and you want to join this conversation, because we have more older adults that are going to be on the panel. So if you want to join in on the conversation, feel free to do, to do so. So before we get started, I'm just going to read today's scripture verse. And I'm going to start talking with I'm going to ask one of my panel guests what they think about the question for the day. So today's scripture verse comes from Proverbs 22:6, and this is the King James Version. And it says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. This scripture has been used and quoted a lot about when it comes to children, but I believe that it can also apply to a younger generation, not necessarily children. So, sis, I said what I said. Tell me what you think about the question. Has the older generation failed the younger generation?
Hey, Alice. Hey, everybody. Yeah, I feel like we've failed the generations, the younger generation.
Okay. You want to elaborate, or you just want to leave it there for now?
Well, I feel like we've, as a community, we failed them, and as a
Mm-hmm.
society, we have failed them. And the reason why I say that is because we taught our kids to work hard, to get an education, and to stay, stay engaged in
Mm-hmm.
their life, in their community, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have so many people that has went to school, got an education, and they can't even find a job for what they went to school for. There's no more manufacturing jobs, even, because everybody is not college bound.
Mm-hmm.
So, like in our generation, we had a choice. We could either go to school or we could just go to work. And if we went to work, we were able to afford the same things that people that, the same American dream, which is a home, a car, um, possibly, do vacations, and able to raise our kids, and
Mm-hmm.
able to sustain our households with our incomes. And the wages have been stifled for so long, and the minimum wage has been the same for the last, what, 15, 20 years. And so the
Long
wages,
time.
yeah, the wages are not keeping up with the prices. And as far as our community go, I feel like we stopped raising our children at home. We've allowed technology and the electronics and TV, cell phones, computers, online. We've allowed all of that stuff, to raise our kids instead of us engaging with our children, teaching them from right and wrong. We've allowed, technology to do that for us. We're online just as much as our kids are online. So how can we tell them, turn your phone off, or, don't be on your computer or what have you, when
Mm-hmm.
most of the adults are online just as much as the kids are. So yeah, I feel like it's a generation fail on both sides, whether it's inside the home or outside the home.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your opinion. We're going to come back. We're going to elaborate some more. I want to hear what Joe has to say. Joe, can you talk? Oh, I didn't say y'all. We have also have Joe on the panel, and we have Real join the panel for the younger people. Joe, are you able to talk? If not, I'll go on to Shanice. Okay, looks like Joe can't talk right now. Oh, okay. You on mute?
Oh, sorry. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Hi, everyone. Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Hello, 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 everybody on the panel. Hello, everyone in the chat. I can't see the chat right now. Um, but I did want to mention, and it kind of touches a little bit on what I said. What I said, I totally agree with you. I wanted to touch on something though. I think personally, and when you mentioned this to me, this is the first thing I thought about. You know,
Mm-hmm.
many of us grew up with struggling or with struggles in the house and everything. And I think that a lot of times, many of us said or thought, when we have kids, we're not going to have them struggle and we're going to make it easier or change it up for them uh, to make it easier for them. But I think in doing that, in trying to protect them from hardship per se, right? We
Mm-hmm.
may have protected them from also learning responsibility or learning discipline or learning consequences a lot of times. And which has really, in my opinion, failed them. And, you know, you hear a lot of people talking about, oh, they don't have respect like we did, or they don't have, and I think it's because of those things, because we tried to shelter them, or, you know, uh, a lot of, you know, oh, the discipline, the way they discipline or not discipline, right?
Right.
I think that was something, because we were trying to make it so much easier for them, that
Mm-hmm.
that lacked in preparing them for what was to come. But we didn't even know what was to come, right? Because the day and today is totally different. But we failed in the fact that we didn't allow them to be prepared for whatever came their way, for hardships, or, you know, of different kinds that they are now, you know, being dealt with. It's
Right.
a totally different generation, and became, because we didn't allow them to grow strong. Because, I mean, come on, you know, the struggles that we went through, or the struggles that we go through, that's what makes us strong. That's what makes you strong, when you go through it. And so if we're going to be sheltering them and not allowing them to go through that, then we lacked teaching them to go through the different types of struggles that they're going through now. And so that was my take. That's honestly what I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with both points of view so far. Um, I'll add mine. I'm going to let all of y'all go, and then I'm going to chime in and say what I really want to say about the subject. So, Shanice, are you able
Thank you.
to talk? You're welcome. Thank you, Joe. Shanice, are you able to talk?
Hello.
Hey,
Hey, happy Monday, everybody.
happy Monday.
Okay, so I agree with Joe. Everything she said is what I was gonna say. So amen to what Joe said. I agree. So yes is the answer to the question for me. And amen to what Joe said.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So, real, thank you, Shanice. Real, what do you have to say?
And I'm not gonna be long winded. How y'all doing? Happy blessed afternoon. Happy Monday, y'all.
Happy Monday. Just go ahead and say what you have to say. You don't have to worry about being long winded.
So in my opinion, with the way that I
Mm-hmm.
look at things, I think
Mm-hmm.
that there is a portion of parents and adults, not a full portion, who have inevitably failed their children. And I say that to like the subculture of like, you know, like the hood and the middle grounds and all that stuff, because they have the time to be able to sit there and nurture their kids, but they choose not to. So they sit there and let their kids kind of like raise themselves and push adulthood on them. Now, on the other hand, there's a particular group of parents who do try their best to raise their kids, put them in, you know, good situations, give them what they need, help them, teach them the ins and outs, give them a good moral compass, right? And no matter what you do, no matter what you say, those kids are still going to have a choice to want to either be good or not. So it's not that the parents failed them. There's this choice that happens with certain youth where it's like they can be instilled with good, but still choose to want to do other things out of either boredom or curiosity or seeing what other people are doing. And this all stems to the fact of, at least about 20 years ago, the parents who've had kids between, like, you know, now and 20 years ago, well, not now, but let's say 15, 20 years ago, they didn't anticipate the rise of this subculture of social media, AI, fast things coming about. So, how can you potentially guard your kids against this rising adversity when you didn't even know that this is happening, right? So now, as a parent, you're like, well, I'm working, I'm doing this, I got a lot of stuff. And then it's like now the kids are around other kids, they're inside school, all this technology and all this AI and everything gets rushed in. This is your first time seeing this. This is your first time combating this. How can you try to teach your kids against something when this is a whole new battleground against you? So now it breaks down to a choice of the kids, because I know people who raised their kids greatly, silver spoon inside their mouths, brought them to church, did all sorts of good stuff, raised them up, and they chose to do the, I call it the opposites on in, because it happens at all levels. You know how like angels look down and they want to go down and be with women, but then guess what? We want to look up and we want to go to heaven. It's the same thing with these people who, oh, I'm living in a great environment, but look at them. They look like they having fun and they out on the side of the street and cussing and popping things and drinking. I want to be a part of that. And then you got the people in the hood who's like, I want a better life. I want to live in it, a suburban life. So it's not that they failed, it's that they encountered something that gives greater attention to children than what your parents could ever do. And I have factual basis on this. If you can jump back and forth between someone's attention span, scrolling, giving somebody what they need to their central nervous cortex of, here, I'm going to feed you this, I'm going to feed you that, you're effectively giving somebody a greater hit of attention on social media, on these platforms, than what your parent can do. So no matter what you say, no matter what you talk, it's like akin to somebody being in church and they know that they love God and they're listening to the word, but guess what ends up happening? After an hour and a half, 2 hours, you start nodding off and falling asleep. Now you got something else that's feeding information with colors, sounds, fast paced action. It's right inside your front, neural cortex. How can you compete with something like that? So now the kids are seeing all this stuff that's coming at them. They're like, "Ooh, I want to do this. Ooh, this is popular. I want to do this do dance. Ooh, I want to shake my butt. Ooh, I want to try this new thing. I want to do the popular dance. Look at all these colors and this and that." So at that point, you got to have self awareness when you reach a certain age and say, is this really what I want to do or not? So to me, it's not an actual failing. It's something that's hard to compete against. Like, if you giving your child breast milk and then now they taste like Kool-Aid, you're competing against something that's slightly sweeter and tastes better to their taste buds. But then they have to realize, you know what? This tastes good. It's cold. It's going down my throat. But is it healthier for me? So when these kids reach a certain age, they have to have a self realization. That's my opinion on it.
Okay, thank you. So real, it seems like you think that it's sort of yes and no. Like some people have failed when it comes to their children. Some have failed, but there are some who are doing their best. And of course, we all have choices. And so, because you have choices, even if your parents did everything right, you can go astray, which I agree with.
Correct.
I think that, yeah, there has to be balance as far as what Joe and Shanice was saying. And as far as what I said was saying, she was saying about a lot of times we tell our children to go to school, get the good grades, and get the good job, but the jobs just aren't there. Now, what I also was thinking about was I see young people middle aged people, older people on social media. And well, I've cut back a lot on social media, but I see a lot of back and forth with the younger people and older people. And sometimes you can't, unless you know, you can't really decipher between the older adults and the ones that are young because we everybody's doing the same thing and not in a positive way. So do you all think that as do you all think that the older adults that are on social media owe the younger adults a better example when it comes to social media? I mean, of course, in our household, we should be great examples for our children. And sometimes they listen and sometimes they don't. But do you think that the older people who are on social media should be better examples? I'll start with I said what I said.
Well, why you put me in the hot seat, Alice? But
Just because I started with you first.
is that a hint or something? But yeah, you're absolutely right. You do have a lot of adults that's fighting, that's even arguing and fighting with kids online. Instead of being an example, they're just
Hmm.
jumping in there and really kind of outdoing some of the younger people. And I don't know. It's like nobody care about ethics and morals and values or anything anymore. Now, when you're trolling somebody, that's something totally different. You're just trying
Right,
to, you're just having a good time.
right.
But you actually have people that's actually beefing with younger people, and it's crazy, you know.
Hmm.
Um, we definitely should be an example for them, and not try to harm them, and maybe give them something to aspire to versus being against them. And you really can learn from each other. We can learn something from the younger
Yeah.
people can learn something from us. But in my opinion, it's our responsibility to show them the way. We shouldn't be online um just acting any kind of way online, and not being a good example for the younger people, because life is hard. It's not easy, and everybody can't take a joke. Some people, have a few issues or what have you, but they're still online, and so you just never know when you actually hurt someone's feelings, or when someone is really kind of looking up to you, and then it's like you kind of fail them, you know.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of friendships dissolve for stupid reasons. I noticed online a lot of people care about what other people think about them,
Hmm.
and I feel like that's just part of being on social media. And like Real was saying, as far as your stimulation of your brain, um I feel like when you're online too much or whatever, it does take some of your um core values away. So
Hmm.
kudos to you for getting offline, and not just overdoing it, because anything you indulge in can be harmful to you and really is considered a sin. And so I've actually kind of stepped back myself, because I was just online every day. And I'm
Hmm.
not really online for the mess. I'm online just watching the news, but even that can depress you. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so
Absolutely.
you have to step back sometimes. And sometimes you have to step back from, even if you have to schedule yourself and just say, well, I'm going to use this block of time is when I'm online, and then the rest of the time I'm not going to be online. Like I
Right.
wasn't online at all yesterday. The whole day I watched movies, and it was just, total peace.
Hmm.
And it does make you feel different when you get offline, because you start really living your real life.
Right.
And I think we need to do that a little bit more instead of just staying online, because in my opinion, the more you stay online, the more crap you ingest,
Yeah.
because it is a lot of crap going on this internet. And I see men beefing with men, I see women beefing with women, young people beefing with older people, and vice versa. and sometimes it can be kind of a big mess. And so yeah, a lot of these older people are not being an example for the younger people, and they're getting on here acting like they 20 or 19 or what have you. Just with the fact you be arguing with a younger person is just crazy to me.
Yeah.
We should be able to, we should be the bigger person. We have more
Hmm.
experience in life. Um, and when I'm speaking to younger people and I'm serious, serious about it, and I'm not trolling, no, I'm not trolling, and I'm really having a serious conversation. My mind always go back to the time that when I was your age, and I
Right.
tell Vaughn a lot. I tell Vaughn all the time. I remember when I was 30 something. I
Hmm.
remember, and she's like, you always understand me. That's because I haven't forgot where I come from.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you can remember
Absolutely.
when you were in your 20s, you can remember when you were in your 30s, and
Hmm.
in your 40s, and life wasn't easy for us, and it's definitely not going to be easy for them. So,
Right.
at the end of the day, I just feel like we should be more of an example, and try to help versus trying to tear the younger generation down.
I agree. Shanice, you thanks. I said what I said. Shanice, do you have anything to add to that, or you have an opinion on that? Shanice. Okay, Shanice is muted. She might be doing something else. Real, do you have an opinion on that?
So yes, I do agree. And now we've gone to a point of no return when it comes to the majority of the youth, with them being able to sit down and listen to what their elders, their wise brothers, uncles, people online have to say, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm not stupid. I know certain people probably look at the way that I do things on my channel and they figure, oh, he's a little wild, he's this, he's yelling. But unbeknownst to a lot of people, and it would behoove them to actually slow down and listen to what I'm saying and how I'm doing it. Believe it or not, there's swaths of youth that come onto my channel that have told me this, and but I've removed their, comments from my channel because they were like, okay, you're underage and you're not supposed to be seeing this anyway. But a
Mm.
lot of them still do come through, and they like the way that I put on the outfits and that I present the information, and when I'm yelling because it keeps their attention, right? So what I
Mm-hmm.
did is I seen, so for me to be able to connect not only with adults but of the youth, I'm like, what can I do to find a creative way to be able to reach out to everybody? Might not have high views and be reaching everybody, but I've had, and this is, I've had kids, teenagers and even younger, tell me, you're funny, you gave me self-worth, you made me feel like, oh, I shouldn't be afraid of anybody, or just be like, oh well, to what they say, and you don't care, and the way you're quick witty comebacks to other people. So now I've developed a way to, what, I see that kids like the colors, I see that they like, the yelling, which keeps their attention. So it's not that other adults are not being able to handle their business, they're doing fine when they speak to these youth, but it's, are you keeping and grabbing their attention? We can be delivering a great message to these youth, like, oh, this is what you need to do and that. And we're sitting here like, oh, well, they don't want to listen to this and that. It's not that. It's like, if a teacher or a pastor is teaching to certain youth, are some of them going to listen? So now with the whole this and the arguing and all this other stuff, I'm like, how can I effectuate a way of adding this in to be able to reach everybody? And I've used that for my advantage, and it keeps them coming back. So this, the outfit. So I'm just like, okay, while certain people are looking from the outside in, it's very sad that youth are able to pick apart what I'm doing. And it's like, the way that you said that, you're being funny, but I got what you said. And there's other adults that's like, oh, he's immature, he's all over the place. How can a child get what I'm saying through my creative comedic ways, and they knew what I was doing, but it held their attention? But the first thing adults want to do is point and pick and judge and pull apart what I'm doing, because they're not getting the message. You're picking apart and judging the deliverer versus the actual message. So yes, so now I found a way to dig in because I seen what y'all seen with the whole the adults arguing back with the kids, doing this, doing that. I turned the troll into somebody who likes my channel. So, oh, you look like this. You like Tyler Perry. You like Jeezy. Like, no, they look like me. And thank you for, like I'll say stuff like that, and they'll laugh. So I'll turn it instead of actually arguing back. I'll make it, and then I'll raise my eyes and act like I'm getting pissed. And it's okay. You keep saying it, and it's like it's just gonna make me strong. So now they're like, oh, he's telling me to keep saying it. It's doing nothing but making me stronger, stronger. I'm going to do that at my class today. Hey, real, I did that and it actually worked. I told them to do. So now these kids that were picking on me saying things, now there's no enjoyment in them picking on them because now they're like, keep it coming, keep saying it. Now it's like, well, you're not groveling and crying over this anymore. They found a way. They're like, thank you, and I'm like, yeah, I don't care, it's no problem. And no, I'm going to add my mom's account and give you something. Like, don't do that. So like there's a method to my madness.
Okay. So you found a way to actually keep younger people engaged, and another way of stopping a lot of, like, you could go back and forth with them, but you decided not to do that. You decided to do something different, which is good.
Yeah, yes, and I just got to figure out a way for them to be able to comment more because now I'm facing the dilemma of a lot of them want to say things inside my chat, but they're intimidated by all the adults who have, the blue moderator wrenches, and I'm like, don't be afraid. So they just sit there inside the back and say something on one of my shorts or something afterwards. But
Okay.
I'll figure it out.
Okay. So yeah, that's good, real. I think that each generation should be aware and do their best for the next generation. So even though I'm not sure how old you are, I'm not even going to ask, but I
Ageless.
believe what you say.
I'm ageless, honey.
Oh, ageless. Okay. I'm sure I'm probably old enough to be your parent, but just like um, when I was your age, and I'll just guess around age range, because my oldest is in her 40s, so I'm sure you're younger than my oldest. But anyway, when I was um, that age, your age, that age range, I should have been more aware of the younger people. But I was a parent at the time, so I was aware. But what I'm talking about is not necessarily me, but people in my age range who, um, like I said, what I said was saying sometimes we forget where we came from. And sometimes we expect we expect more from people who are younger than us, people I'll say in their 20s and 30s. I'm not necessarily talking about the kids, but we expect more from them, but we forget where we came from because when we were younger like that, we weren't always doing the right thing, but we expect them to just be doing the right thing. And not only that, I feel that too many of us are not being a good example of what the right thing is, because I believe the best way to show somebody how to be a good example is by being a good example. Children, people, period, they pay less attention of what you say, they pay more attention to what you do. So if you are online on social media, an older adult, and you are being like someone who's younger, you you if you can't tell any difference, it's like someone who says that they are a follower of Christ, but there's someone who doesn't proclaim to follow Christ, and you, the one who says you follow, say that you follow Christ, they're looking at you. And if your example of Christianity or follower of Christ is showing them the things that they do, why would they have any incentive of changing? What do you think about that? I said what I said.
You're absolutely right. Because why would I go to church, or why would I want to follow Jesus if you say you follow him and you still doing everything you want to do? You living your best life, but you still say, that you're a follower of Christ. So, what's the point? To me, it's a waste of
Right,
time.
right.
Um, that's just more sleep that you can get, or I mean, why even waste your time if you're not going to try to dot the i's and cross the t's? And
Mm-hmm.
why would they even be incentivized to even go to church, if they're seeing you do the same things that they do, and you say that you are a Christian, and nothing
Right.
about your walk has changed? Nobody's saying that you have to be perfect. No
Mm-hmm.
one's saying that you have to be Jesus himself or Mary Magdalene or anybody in the Bible. But you know, if you say you're a child of God, and you really, a Christian, and you're trying to do the Christian walk, then you have to walk the walk as well as talk the talk. You know, if you talk whatever you talk, then you have to walk it. Especially if you say that you're, in church, because
You dropped for a minute, so I didn't hear everything you said.
oh, okay. I said, you have to walk the walk and talk the talk, especially if you
Mm-hmm.
say that you're in church, because people are not gonna be incentivized to do anything if you can't um, inspire people when you're doing the same things that they're doing,
Right,
in so many words, and
right.
really you're looked upon, you frowned upon as being hypocritical. And there are a lot of people um, that want to follow God, especially the younger people. It's real hard. It seems like it's hard for everybody. I was going to say it was hard for the younger people to follow Christ, because I remember when I was in my 30s and I was in church, and how people were talking about me. Oh, that's all you do is go to church, and I really was heavily into church.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about going, to Sunday school, mission, prayer meeting. I was going to church at least 3 or 4 times a week. And sometimes with you being younger, some of your peers would, ostracize you for that. And so, but the way that I was able to go to church, and the reason why I was going to church, is because I had an example. My grandfather raised us in church, and then there
Mm-hmm.
was other people in the church, that I respected and that taught me how to be a Christian. And so that I feel like that's the number one job, as far as an older person or a mature person, is to teach the younger generation. Because how would they know how to do anything unless they've been told, unless they've been taught to do things. And so yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, I agree. Real, you have anything to add to that?
I mean, for the most part, I can agree. And again, I know some people probably look at me like, well, we know that sometimes you might read scriptures, you might do this here and there, but you're not 100% fully doing it, right? And to me, this is just my personal, beliefs and opinions of what comes over me. I do minds where I'm in a setting of somewhere in the middle. So honestly, people are like, oh well, oh look, you in the middle, you lukewarm. No, I present it in a way where I want people to realize that I'm just like you, and I have certain faults and I have certain, sides of me where, yes, I can get this. Yes, I can get upset. Yes, I can get that. But when I do it in a comedic fashion, it's just like, oh, well, it's not really real anger. It's a way to have people feel like I'm not too far out of reach to them, right? And I also don't want to lead in a way where I'm coming off super holy and super religious because in my opinion, I don't want to disrespect I don't want to disrespect the spiritual like that. I don't. I don't want to one moment be super, super, super holy. And then the next minute it's like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And there's no shots against anybody. That's just my personal stance. So now, when you do something like that, you're going to be scrutinized. So the way that I present it, where I'm somewhere just like chill, where I'm still a normal being, but then yet I can add in with this, and I'm not going to be super judged because it's never going to be the same. Once you come off super, oh, holy, this and that, and then you end up, oh, God this and, Christ this and Jesus this, and then you go do some crazy stuff, people see that. They see that. So it's like, I'm not going to lead that type of example. I'm going to just throw in little like gemstones in this part. So now you can make your own decision and your own choice on it. Like I said, what they say, there's many different ministries, but it's all, one and the same. Because to me, it's preposterous when people do that. But I don't judge people. I'm still going to love people. I'm still going to follow people. I'm going to do this. But when I see stuff like that, one can't sit here and compare, well, he's not being super holy. Well, why am I going to be so called like this? Yet I'm willing to bet any amount of money that certain people might think, oh, they're this and that more than me. But I can guarantee you, because people will be surprised, there's things that I won't do and will not do. And people surprised that I don't do in my real life. Like they'll be greatly surprised, and it would probably bother them to try to do certain things that I do because I don't know if they would be able to handle it. Like, it's just like, well, how do you do this? Where you get the energy from? Where do you get this? There are certain things I will not do. But then people will sit here and say, oh, well, I'm a better Christian than you and I'm a better follower of Christ than you. Well, I mean, the divine counsel is going to be the one to see that and to judge that. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I choose to do and present my ways of um God and spirituality in Christ where it's not drowning on people. See, what people have to realize is when you lead by example, where it says you have to be Christ-like in this, the first thing a lot of people forget is you have to lead, but also lead with your gift and your purpose. And I think the one thing that everybody jumps in doing is once, you start getting enlightened and getting, pieces of the Christ consciousness to you, it's like, oh, you gonna go to hell if you don't do this, and oh, Bible verses this and Bible verses that. Everybody can't do the same thing. And I see that as like soon as people do that, that's the first thing everybody does. And it's like, um, where's your gift in this purpose? The super great creators said, I bestowed upon you each one a gift. So like, where's your gift? Like, where's your laughter? Where's this? Where's that? Like, you're able to bring people together in sort of a fashion, but then you throw certain things in from like the 70s and 80s and it's like fun. And then you talk about this and during my days and I'm from the so it's like you're giving the word, but then you're also putting in a relatability of growing up and bringing together, or like you and I said what I said, and like Senna and everybody else, like womanhood, that can be your gift, and tapping into also men too, because y'all have that ability. And whether or not men want to say that they sit there and watch y'all, it's like, I'm not gonna be afraid. Yup, I watch y'all. I watch from the background, sometimes I say nothing. But there comes the stigmata with that. Is I ain't saying nothing. I'm hiding in the background. It's like, no, no. Women can have wisdom too. So when you accept all parts of the duality that come with it, you'll have a much better life. You'll have a much better understanding, and you'll stop judging people so much. And the concept of miserableness will come off you. I'm done.
Not the concept of miserableness. Okay.
Well, one thing I see.
Um,
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say it's one thing that I've noticed a lot about the younger generation, and the way I feel like we're failing them. It's a lot of people that just don't know the basics of life. And,
Mm.
and when I say the basics of life, I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying it's a lot of people that don't know. Let's say banking for instance. A lot of people don't know how to do banking. It's a lot of people don't know how to do budgeting. It's a lot of people don't know how to cook and clean and just the basic things that you should learn at home. And not saying um, that they're not being taught at home, but everybody is not being taught the same thing. And to me, some those are just basic things in life. And so I feel like we're failing our kids, um, because what Joe was saying earlier about the sheltering. We shelter our kids so much; they so sheltered now. Half of them can't even eat peanut butter. You know, half of them have, a lot of them have so many different allergies to where
Mm-hmm.
they can't even really be outside and take, they can't even take stuff, health wise. And the mental capacity of our kids, they're just mentally, uh, what I want to say, socially and mentally is like it's a shortfall of it.
Inept. Yep.
A lot of people can't even handle like when a problem come up. It's a lot of young people that just melt down. They can't even handle a regular everyday problem, and that's a problem. Because if you're gonna make it in life, you got to be tough. You got to be strong. You got to be able to be knocked down, and then you got to be able to pull yourself back up. And we have so many people in our society right now that can't even handle a regular problem. They just have meltdowns. Oh, I can't do this and I can't, everybody got the I can'ts. And nobody, to me, it's like a lot of these kids or younger people, they don't have that I can withstand anything, or I can overcome this. It's like everybody melt down and crash out for whatever reason. It's like nobody have that willpower to move forward or to find another solution. So when I say we're failing our kids on that aspect, I feel like we're failing them mentally also, and we're shelter them so much to where they can't take nothing. Look how many of them commit, that was
Mm-hmm.
real rare when we were coming up. Not that many people was taking themselves out like that. Now it's a everyday common, a everyday common thing for a young person to just want to give up. And that's what I'm saying. We don't have that stick to it powerness no more. And it seems like we're not raising strong kids to stand, to withstand the storms, because life is gonna be storms. Every day is not gonna be a bed of roses. There are gonna be some good days, and there are gonna also be some bad days. You're gonna have some times where you may have a problem and you have to try to figure it out. And we don't have a lot of people that can solve problems. It's like they give up and they give in too easily for me.
Okay.
I completely agree, and that's why I was saying I believe it stems from, you know oh, and I remember. I mean, I remember. Oh, I had it so hard. I don't want him to have it so hard. I want to make it easier for him. But then, if you think about it, if you made it so easy for them, they don't know how to tough it out when it does get hard. And like Real said, we didn't know what was to come. We didn't know the new age of everything. And I think that's why they have so much mental issues, because of the new age, right? And
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't know, but because we didn't let them grow with that strength or gusto or get through whatever you go through, you know and struggle a little bit, or show consequence, or show, uh earn, earn the gifts and not just shower them with gifts, and just all of these things that we just wanted them to make, to have easier than we did, so to speak. We, in a sense, made it too easy for them, and then they don't know how to. It's kind of like, if you didn't grow up with money, but we're trying to make it seem to them. And I remember, I didn't want my son to know anything about finances before he needed to, things like that. But you grew up knowing, hey, don't ask for nothing when you come in the store, you know but we
Right.
didn't we we let them believe we were rich because we were trying to make it easier for them.
Uh-huh.
In a sense, right? I mean, um in a sense. And but it kind of failed them now, that they don't know how to go and struggle for it, or and they don't have a sense to do that because they didn't grow up that way. And then you can't always, when you're an adult, it's on you. It's your responsibility to break cycles and make changes, even if you didn't grow up that way, right? But then nowadays, you have 30, 40-year olds complaining about their childhood and still using that as a crutch for them being the way they are. And so they're not even bothering to try to change or do anything about it. They're not taking responsibility, but you're an adult now.
Mm.
You're an adult now. It's on you. It's on you. Whatever happened to you when you were a child, yes, it happened. Put it under your feet and grow from it. Learn from it and let it go. But people nowadays aren't even doing that. They're not even trying to do that. And so they're just using it as a crutch to go through life and cry and moan and have mental breakdowns, and that's the problem. That's the problem today, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I think
we've
I think
always
we're
had
not being
technology.
honest with our kids too. I think that's one reason why they may not understand that they're gonna have to go through some things, because we're not honest. I don't think that we should tell them everything, but we should let them see that it's not always easy, so that they'll know that life is not always easy. Go ahead. I said what I said.
Well, I just kind of want to push back a little bit as far as the technology go. We've always had technology. And if you think about it, when we were kids, um, we didn't have call waiting, we didn't have caller ID, we didn't have voicemail, we didn't have computers. All of that stuff was being introduced to us. In my opinion, this is the most educated generation that there ever has been before, because you got technology and information at your fingertips. Anything that you don't know, you can look it up at this point in life. And so I just feel like it's our job to teach our children, no matter what technology come out, on how to actually use it properly in order to enhance your life, not to be totally and solely dependent upon it, but be able to use it so that it can help you, help you further on in your life, help you, get further in your life. You're always going to have innovation. You're always going to have technology. Things are going to always continue to change, because that's what life is about. It's about, moving and shaking, and it's always the next best thing that's going to come out. So that's going to be there. But it's still we still have to teach those basic concepts at home, uh, about life. And
Right.
to me, that's what's
I agree.
lacking. Yeah, that's what's lacking about being responsible. And like you said, Joe, whatever happened to you, it happened to you. But so if you got to go get some therapy to get over it, then go do that. Go do whatever you need to do to make yourself whole and to make yourself thrive. Because my mom taught me a lot of things when I was a child, right? When I was at home. But I've got friends. I have family. I have older people that wasn't even in my family that taught me a lot of things also. So it's your responsibility to guide your life. Your life is yours to guide and to navigate. Yes, your parents help raise you. They could try to give you whatever map that they give you. They give you the
Mhm.
tools and skills that you need to make it in life, but it's your job to sharpen those tools and skills and to make it work for you. And I feel like that's what's missing. I don't think our kids have enough confidence to know that they can make it. And a lot of them are real dependent upon their parents for everything. And I'm talking about, 30s, 40s. Sometimes some of these kids are not even, they don't even want to leave home. And I remember when we were young, we couldn't wait to leave home. We couldn't wait to get out the house. But society has it now to there's no incentive in leaving home because even if you work a job right now, you really still can't afford rent. You can't afford basic needs. So it's not all the parents' fault. It's also society's fault also, because society is replacing people with machines and with AI and with robots or what have you. So it's a failure within the society as well as the community, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree. Um, I think that um, I think I just lost my train of thought, but but I think that when you was talking about how younger people can't afford things, have their own home or whatever, and that has a lot to do with like we can go down another rabbit hole with that about teaching our children how important it is to vote, even though this is not a political conversation. But a lot of times, them not being able to afford things is based on politics. And if they don't get involved, whether they're involved or not, it's going to affect them. As we look at the gas prices and everything that's going on today, there are not just younger people, there are older people who are struggling because of what's going on in our world today. So we do, some of these young people are very good at survival skills. Some of them have so many gifts and talents that they have that entrepreneurial spirit in them. They can find a way to survive. And I think a lot of it is also in our DNA because back in the day, our parents and grandparents, they didn't have much, but they made what they could out of what they had. So I think that even though there are some some of the younger people, if you just want to be honest, some are feel entitled, and some are just lazy. But there are some who are really trying, and they're doing the best they can. But it takes all of us collectively coming together to make this world a better place for all of us. Anybody else have any more comments? Oh, let me speak to my peer. I saw you in the chat, my peer. Happy Monday. I also see Blaze in the chat. My son-in-law, my peer, and my son-in-law are in the chat. Happy Monday to you both. So go ahead. I said what I said.
Yeah, and I just want to say one more thing too. Kind of relates to what Joe was saying, as far
Mm-hmm.
as we don't want our kids to struggle, and I'm very guilty of that. If my children need whatever and they don't have it, I make sure that they do have it, and that's not good because I'm not going to be here forever, and they're going to have to learn just like I had to learn. They're going to have to learn how to make a way out of no way, and sometimes we can overcompensate them And I was justifying it because I was like, well, I just want them to be able to make it, and I felt like I was trying to give them a roadmap on how to make it, but in actuality, I'm just making them lazy and making them dependent upon me to say, well, if I can't buy a car, my mom's gonna help me buy a car, or if I need some rent money, well, my mama got me. But your mama not gonna be here forever, and I always try to reiterate that to them. Yeah, I'm gonna help you out, but also I'm not going to be here forever, so you need to try to find your own way. You need to try to make a way. But you feel guilty, and you just don't want them to have to struggle, because I go back to when I was their age, and I was like, I know how hard it was for me, and I didn't really have anybody to help me out, and how I had to struggle. And so it makes me want to make it easier for them, but it's not helping them when you do that.
Yeah, I have
Oh
that.
yes.
I'm kind of like that where I don't, if I can help somebody, I, for the most part, I will help them. But when it comes to my children or my grandchildren, they have my heart. And so I'm like that. And forgive me, but if my children need anything and I have it, um, I can't see my children suffer if if I'm in a position to help them, and that can be um, good thing, and it can also be a bad thing. So I agree, we're not always going to be around, and
Believe me, I was speaking to myself too because I'm that one. And my children have a lot of different, blended families, right?
Mhm.
And I'm the one I agree. That's why I was saying it because to this day, even my 30-year-old, with my grandchildren, like there's nothing I don't try to do for them. And I'm single, y'all. And I'm the one that's always, so I agree. But again, like I said, what I said, I always reiterate to them, I'm not always going to be here. And I'm, learning to invest, and my grandbabies are set. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying, though. I'm trying to teach them, hey, you need to start now. You can't be waiting like I did. Right. And so that's what I try to do, and learn as much as I can so I can pass it on. So I agree with y'all.
Well, I'm glad it's not just me.
And to me, this is why I'm a big believer in, like, and I know people can't agree with it, but I'm a big believer in duality and being somewhere inside the middle. And if you apply that with a lot of things, you can alleviate a lot of the problems. So with like my nieces and nephews, and my children, I give them love, but then I step back from a lot of things and give them like a little bit of survival. I have to. I have to. When they say they want certain things or something, I'm like, no, I'm not getting you that. You're gonna have to earn it. You got to do this. You got to do that. I'm not just gonna give it to you, because then again, you're gonna be lazy like other family members, or keep. You're gonna develop this self entitlement attitude. And it's not that, oh, I'm trying to be mean, but you gotta have duality in any of your situations. And a lot of things that we deal with in society can be alleviated by having self-validation. And I keep telling people this. The reason why everybody's doing these things is for attention, is for validation from others. This is why certain kids don't want to listen, because when all this information came in, like how y'all was saying with this technology, one of the biggest reasons of why kids and the youth do not want to listen, they're like, all this information came in an influx in the past 10 to 12 years. Why should I listen to you when I could easily find this on the internet? Why should I listen to you when I could scroll through TikTok and this is being delivered to me? Now they think that they're adults. Now they think that they know everything. And this is why they get into the trouble that they get into. But then you sometimes have to let them experience something so that they can come back to reality. You know what I'm saying? This is why, like, with one of my boys, I teach him about this with, with his daughter. Don't teach your daughter to be too independent, because when these men out here, this, that, and other third, then now she's not going to know how to submit to a man. She's not going to know how to be a proper wife. You got to be somewhere inside the middle to teach them correctly. Because, it's just like, We can't, as men or women, like, oh, I don't want my son dating this type of female, but then you running around and playing men and doing this and let me get the money. All these kids see that. Same thing with, like, the dads with their daughters. These men are this, these men are that. I need you to be independent, all that stuff. You're totally going against the ways of, well, there's nothing wrong with that. If a nation or a certain part doesn't have a strong woman, God will work just like he did with Esther and a slew of other women. But you still got to teach them how to submit to the right type of man. Because if you put this thought on everybody's evil and bad, then they're going to put it out there. And then it's just like, they're going to be away from people. Then they're going to be dependent on you until you're gone. Then what? And then this, raises that thing. I miss my mom. I miss my dad. There's nothing wrong with that, but you got to have duality. Just like I tell people, survival is not a bad thing. When people are like, oh, I was raised on survival. Well, guess what? What do you think is happening now? A lot of people are going to have to start going into survival mode. Because you look what happened with Spirit Airlines. You see all those people that just lost their jobs, thousands of people that lost their jobs. People in California, all these people lost their jobs. In the Midwest, at those big factories, completely would not shut down. If you were raised on survival, that's going to be dirt off your shoulder. You're going to be like, oh, well, I was raised a certain way. Anyways, instead of sitting around boo-hooing and crying, you're like, what can I do? Oh, I'm going to pray, see what comes my way, and let's get it going. So having love in survival is a good thing. We can say that what we want, all we want, but society is to a point where it's like, it's so diluted and so messed up where, all this blue pill, red pill thing and women should submit. We're past that point already. Women are making six figures. Women are millionaires. There's no turning back. Men have been pushed down to certain positions of doing this and doing that. It's like, people have been institutionalized. Everything has to start all over again. We can push all these ideas all we want, but if we actually look from the outside in, it's already so diluted, there's no turning back. Like how you tell a woman, and if you're a kid, oh, you need to do this, this is the way of God, but you grew up because men did this to you, so now you earned your own, now you know how to make money on your own. How can a woman possibly be like, I'm going to do this? I think I said that before. I want a man, I want to submit to, and then when it happens, no, I don't like this, and that. Same thing with a man. Now these kids are seeing this, and it's so like, you got so many different perspectives and aspects being thrown at the youth. It's like they don't know which way to go. At the end of the day, that's why I said it's, they gotta break up and have a choice. Cause I know ghetto people and ghetto family members. Like, believe it or not, I'm from the hood, but I detached myself from certain things and wanted better. And I saw it. And I'm just like, you know what? I want this. And I had certain family members that were up and about. So I just was like, okay, do you want better? Do you see better? And what steps are you gonna take to go after that route? And if you got the energy to chase after somebody, chase after some tail, chase after some sausage, if you put that same energy to yourself, because a lot of people be like, I can't do it. I can't. I don't know how to. That same energy that you're pushing there, push it back inwardly and you can make a change for yourself. And that's what I started doing. And I'm just like, it might be a little uncanny to some people and a little eclectic the way I do things, but to each their own. I'm done yapping.
Okay. Okay. I said what I said. Do you have anything, any feedback on, comment on what real what you're saying?
Well, what I want to say is the way that we raised our kids is almost like it's like it was a whole total lie to them, in my
Mm,
opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because we taught them one thing, but society is showing them something different. And I know
mm,
this is not a political show, but it all boils down to how society operates, how the children see the world, and how they can navigate through the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And right now it's a very hard time to navigate anything, whether you're young, old, or in between. And it's like I said, you were raised, you were taught that If you worked hard and you put your all and all into it, then you can make it. You can make it, and that's not true.
Right.
I That's not true no more. It used to be true, but it that no longer holds that no longer is true. And like Real said, or either Joe, I don't know which one of them said it, but we're producing a lot of entrepreneurs because of the way that the world is going, which I feel like is a good thing, except for the social media entrepreneurs. Because let's keep it real, social media has employed a lot of people now. People feel like, well, why go to an 8 to 5 when I can just get online and make money and stay at home and make money and not have to go anywhere, not have to do anything, but just get on the app and just talk. And so, to me, that's one of the biggest downfalls in our society, is to make social media your income. And the reason why I say that is because look at YouTube. We've had so many creators that was just demonetized for no reason at all, just because the company decided your content is not in your content is inauthentic now, or your content is reused now, something that people have been doing for some of these people say they've been doing the same content for 10, 15 years. All of a
Right.
sudden YouTube decided that their content was not useful anymore. And that can happen on a job also. uh,
Mm-hmm.
but back in the day, when you had most jobs had a union, they couldn't just get rid of you like that.
Yep.
Okay. And when you making your money through social media, you really have no rights, no say so, no nothing. If that app decide that they don't want you monetized, they can cut you off at the neck at any minute. And that's happened to a lot of people. And I've seen a lot of people devastated and saying, "Hey, this was my monthly income."
Mm-hmm.
I feel like social media should be your side hustle, but
I agree.
you also need a real hustle,
Yeah.
just in case social media decide that they don't want to monetize you anymore. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to be monetized. It's great
Mm-hmm.
if you can make the money. However,
Right.
you need a backup plan, and that's what a lot of people don't have. They don't have a backup plan. They're making social media their plan, and you can't
Right.
do that on something that's it's like, in my opinion, having a job on social media is like building a house on sand. There's no foundation in it at all,
Mm.
and they can give it and they can take it any day.
Yeah.
And to me, that's more stress than anything, to have to rely on a social media site for my bread and butter.
I think also you knowing this, that if you don't own it, it can be taken away from you. Knowing that, you were talking earlier about budgeting and stuff, you should do your best to make sure that you have that money saved or invested or whatever, so that if something does happen, you won't fall into that, because it can be devastating to lose your income, whether no matter where your income comes from, it could be devastating to lose it. So I think a lot of times we don't prepare ourselves.
Hmm. And also, if you're on a real job, you can get unemployment if the company decide to let you go.
Well, depending on why you were let go.
Well, yeah, if it's a valid reason. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like on this social media site, how I'm seeing all these people being taken
Mm,
away. It's like, okay, well, whatever reason they're given the reason, and they're just no warning, no nothing. Just you wake up one day and you have an email, all your income is gone.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I
And
think what's
so,
crazy, I think I didn't know, I didn't realize. I mean, that's what you're saying, but I didn't. Sorry, I'm back. But I didn't realize that people are trying to use this as their only income. Like that's the craziest part. Because today and now, even my pastorals say it. My dad said it before. Like to in this day and age, you gotta have different sources of income. Like, and once upon a time, that's not the way it had to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
But today, it's like you better. I mean, to make it in I mean, I do believe that you have to have a lot of different sources, a lot of different streams of income, and and that's the way I believe that it should be. Um, One source of income, and is not going to make it, and that's what I try to educate myself on, trying to teach my kids on that, it's about different sources of income, things that we didn't have to learn, right? Because, and I know I said what I said, mentioned this, like, I tell my son all the time, I'm older than Google. I didn't have Google. So don't be asking me questions. Go look, because,
Your
or,
sound is
oh, I'm sorry.
kind of okay.
So I made it home, and that's, I may sound different. I apologize. I was barely
Okay.
trying to put things back up. But yeah, I'm just agreeing with, I said what I said, and I
Uh
didn't,
huh.
things that I'm learning from y'all, because I'm like, oh, I didn't know all that. That's crazy. If you're gonna just rely on one source of income, now you missing out, and you're staying behind, in my opinion. Okay, thank you.
And it makes you lazy.
Yeah.
Agreed, agreed. But it can make some people become very laxed in this area because a good friend of mine, Supreme View Reacts, he's a good friend of mine. He's trying to, help me do other things, but I'm like, I want to stick with my purpose. He makes between $10,000 and $12,000 a month on YouTube, just reacting to like videos. He's got like
Hmm.
over 111 members. So some people, I think it gets to a point where they don't want nothing else. They're like, "Oh, I'm fine here. I'm making this kind of money, this and that." I'm like, "Well, kudos to you. I'm happy for you." But it's just like some people just they're not about that. But I can see where it can make some people become, I guess, lazy and super dependent, where it's like, why should I go out and get this job or continue driving trucks and doing this when I'm making 10 and 12 grand a month off videos?
But
So
they
it's
can,
like, go
but
ahead.
they can take that away in the drop of a hat.
And I agree with that. I agree. I agree. So it's like, what do people do? Like they becoming too lax with it.
I know, and then that's how you fall into depression, hard times, can't
Yes.
make it, and the critical
Absolutely.
thinking just goes out. It's like this is what I was doing, and especially if you've been doing it for the last 5 years, because let's just keep it real, 5 years is the point of anything at this point in time, whether you're on a real job or online job. After 5 years, things just change for whatever reason, and so I'm watching these people be devastated, and and a lot of people were making good money on social media, and there's nothing wrong with it. But like Joe said, you better have multiple streams of income, because it could be here today and gone tomorrow, and then what are you gonna do? And then a lot of times, the more money you make, the more money you spend. So you really don't. A lot of people don't have anything put up. I can guarantee you, most Americans are like one paycheck away from being homeless.
Yep. I was gonna say that you make 10, 12,000, you spending
10,
12,
12,000 a month.
13,000.
Yeah, you
You spending
spending
12, 13.
What
You
is
12,
that?
13.
especially
Yeah, because that's the American way, is to
yeah.
overspend
The more
and
people they have to
overspend
spend.
and not save anything. And and that's what the problem is. We all think that we got to have everything that our little heart desires, and that's not how it goes. That's not how life is. Um, you don't have to have
Maybe
everything that you think you got to have. You know.
right.
And C-19 showed us that. To
Hmm.
me, when we had that C-19 spell, that was one of the scariest times I ever
Mm.
lived, in my time of being here. And I've been here a half a century and then some, okay? And so I've never seen anything like that in my whole lifetime, where the whole United States just shut down for 2 or 3 weeks. That was a very scary feeling. How we ran out of supplies, and I'm gonna just give you a prime example. A storm took our electricity out when I probably about a decade ago, and I was scrambling. I I'm so used to just flicking the light on. I'm so used just turning on the remote control or what have you. And I'm
Mhm.
like, oh my God, we're in the dark. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And my daughter was like, well, we got flashlights and candles, Mama. And I'm like, oh, okay. I say, well, my mind didn't even go there. I'm panicking because I'm like, what am I gonna do? And at that time, my brother had some type of machine that was plugged up that he needed, um, for his survival. So,
Mhm.
that's what really was on my mind. Like, how am I gonna get this machine to work when we don't have electricity? And we were out of, and our electricity was gone for like 4 or 5 hours because I was in the Metroplex at that time. I was in Garland and Texas. And so at the end of the day, um, it's always good to do critical thinking, have a backup plan, and really be thinking on top of your game. Because had my daughter not been there, I'm sure I would have been just panicking. Eventually it would have came to me that I need some candles and flashlight, but that's not the first thing that came to my mind when that
Right.
happened. And so and that's what I'm saying, as far as our younger generation or what have you, we're not really giving them any critical thinking skills. I feel like social media is creating a lot of lazy people, to make them not want to go out there and do anything else other than to be online talking crap, because a lot of people make money just by stirring up BS,
Yeah.
and what type of example is that for a child to learn?
Right. That's one of my points. Is we should always be mindful of who we're influencing. We're all role models, whether we want to accept it or not. We are role models. Either people are going to learn from what we do in a positive way, or they're going to learn in a negative way. And I believe that it's going to be better for us because we are affecting a different generation. It's going to be better for us in the long run, for them as well. But it's going to affect us the way we do things, the way we not just talk the talk, but we got to walk it like we talk it, because people are watching us and they can um, they can go sideways if we're giving them bad examples.
I completely agree. I just mentioned something because it was what I said, brought up the C-19 and things we should have learned from it. And I know a lot of people will, in my opinion, can y'all hear me?
Uh-huh, we hear you.
I know from C-19 there was a lot of negatives that came from it, and negative that you could have grasped from it, but there's a lot of positive that you can see from it also, and things that because me personally, it actually showed me the problems that I had with poor circulation in my legs, because I no longer could go to the gym like I always did, and I didn't wear my compression pants like I always did, because I didn't have to. I was in the house, right? And so when I stopped doing those things, I literally learned that I started swelling up in my legs. I didn't know the things that I did were helping me, right? Keeping
Hmm.
from having other problems. And that's when I found out that I had the osteoarthritis in my knees because of the swelling that started coming about. But that's what it taught me, right? And so those are things that, I mean, that, and then you saw, I mean, I don't know what y'all saw, but I saw in my, you know, circles and things that people that I saw, a lot of people with low immune systems were not making it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they weren't making it. So that
Hey,
taught me
Vaughn.
too that, hey, I gotta continue with my health, because that's where it's gotta be, right? It should have taught us that we need to gain our health or work on our health or work towards our health, because that's where it's going to be, that's what's going to help us through. And we got to admit, it's not over. Like, there's a lot of things that are happening in the world that we never, I said what I said, I had never seen anything like that in my lifetime either, and I am over, half a century old, right? And we had never seen things like that happen. You would have, if you told me it would have happened, I didn't think it was ever going to happen, right? But it did. But y'all, what just happened this past weekend? Spirit Airlines just decided we're done, we're gone. If you had a flight and you had gone one way on a flight, you're back, your other way back is canceled, and you got to figure it out. And yes, refunds are going to come, but they're not coming that quick. And they just, from one day to the next, shut it all down, and they have
Yeah.
nothing. I mean, I don't know if y'all know, but they literally shut down from one day
Yep.
to the next.
Mm-hmm.
No notice, no nothing. And it still can happen.
Uh-huh.
And it didn't matter where you had a flight to. If you took a round trip flight with Spirit Airlines and you took that flight before they shut down your back flight, you got to figure it out. You know, I mean, literally, and it just, from one day to the next, and everything. Their ATMs were down. You can't contact nobody. It's still happening. Things that you never thought would happen are still happening, and we got to be prepared for it, and we got to teach the younger generation. And I really, honestly, my son's 18, so he's in that generation that I feel is part of that generation that you were saying, real, that that's kind of missed out. But that's why my grandkids, I'm like, starting them early, and I try to teach my kids that that's just what we gotta, we gotta, like my son, y'all, some of y'all know I had him a graduation dinner, just recently. Y'all, I had a little jar where people could um, write him inspirational messages as they came in to leave for him. Do you know he had to sit, and every time he had a message or a card that somebody wrote to him, he had to come and tell me cursive, and he had to have me read it to him because he didn't know how to read the cursive. He reads some of it, but some of the
Wow.
letters do not look like nothing in print. So he had to have me, and yes, I'm talking about you. Yes, he had to have me read it to him. And I'm like, see,
Wow.
this is a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah.
And my
Yeah.
mom's like, she's like, he can't read what I wrote to him. I said, no, ma'am. He couldn't read a word my mom wrote to him.
And they can't look at a regular clock and tell time either.
Mm-mm. And
Well,
Right,
they can't
right.
count, they can't count change from a dollar
Okay, he can do that because he's
without
working,
the
but
register.
yes, you're right though.
I'm just saying
Yes,
though, when
that's
I go to the
true.
store, it's a lot of times if I use cash, I have to give them back the money so that they can keep their jobs
Or I
because
have
yeah.
to tell the child,
they
okay,
can't
this is how
count.
much you need to give me. Yes, you're
Yeah,
right.
but they
You're right.
can't count though. But in the spirit of spirit, I did see an article today where they're telling people if you need a refund from spirit, um, call your credit card company or your bank and see if you can get that refunded because when a company go into bankruptcy, you're the last person that they want to pay. Okay.
Yep. Hmm.
And so they're not going to be in no quick hurry to try to give you your money. So the fastest way to get your money, because you can dispute anything on your credit card any day. Most of them is between 60 and 90 days after the purchase, and they'll refund your money for you. So if people are trying to get a refund, then they can actually, dispute it through their credit card or through their financial institution if they'll honor it for them. But you're absolutely right, Joe. They left a lot of people stranded this weekend, and so and people were scrambling, and who have extra money to go to another airline, because
Exactly.
I heard a couple of the airlines, Delta and well, let's not say their names. A couple of the other airlines, they were just offering regular rates. They wasn't giving people a discount. They wasn't really honoring their spirit return flight ticket without them having to pay extra money. And these days, people don't have extra money like that.
Yep, exactly. And that's why they're not prepared because they think it's not going to happen, but it's still happening. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, that's really sad. It's really sad. But yeah, it always goes back to survival skills.
And one more thing I want to say about the health too. I feel like as a black community, that's one thing that we're not teaching our kids is to have good health, is to eat right and to exercise, to incorporate those type of things in your everyday living. Most people wait until they get sick or something major happen, and then they start trying to work on their health and
It's
and
true.
the things that they eat. So I just think as a black community, soul food is great. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love oxtails and greens and yams, all of that. But
Hmm.
we have to teach our kids about vitamins and nutrients and health, exercise,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not getting it. They're not outside like we were. If you look at these
Yeah,
kids now, and I'm talking about the smaller kids at this point, most of these smaller kids are overweight because of all the additives and hormones and everything that they're putting in the foods or what have you. It's hard to get away from because it's so much crap in our foods now. But we still can teach them to try to eat better than what we're teaching them, and stay out of those fast food joints because that's just nothing but poison for
yeah,
our children. And it's so many kids that love McDonald's, and I really feel like McDonald's is one of the reasons why my son was such a extra overweight kid when he was a kid because I used to let him go to McDonald's all the time, and it's nothing but junk. And it's nothing, it's nothing healthy. And it took my son a long time. I just kind of cut him off. I think he was probably around 9 or 10, and I kind of just cut him off from McDonald's and made him start eating regular food because he wouldn't eat anything other than junk food, and that's not good for your kids. They're not gonna their life expectancy is cut off short, and it's only because we're not giving them the right nutrients and we're not teaching them how to eat properly and how to exercise properly, and that affects
yeah.
them.
Background noise.
I have background noise. Okay,
Uh
let me
huh.
change headsets.
Okay,
I completely agree.
I agree.
Yes, completely agree. And one of the things that I didn't ever, throughout my son's life, because I've been in uh, a journey of my own the last 20 years. So that means his whole life I've been learning, right? I've been in a journey of my own. So he's seen it, he knows what to do, but I never forced him because I was still learning, right? So I never forced him in anything because I knew that when I was growing up and they would just say, "Joe, don't eat that. Joe, stop," or don't, they would just tell me but they didn't teach me, or they were still doing it but they were telling me not to do it. So because of those, or the way I was trying to be taught and not really, um I've tried teaching him and not forcing him, but now that he's 18, I've you know and letting him, watching to see, did you learn, right? And I'm really thankful because he really is, and he's really on his own little, you know he's only 18, and but his father has, those morbid obesity, um illnesses. It runs in my family. So you're right, like we have to teach and do better for them. We can't force them, because we were trying to give them everything, but it is something that I feel it's not being taught as much as it should be or should have been. I completely agree. Completely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. You want to say something real?
No, all y'all bringing great, valid points, and I was like, I'm glad that y'all are well knowledged and Everybody's putting in their piece and everybody's learning the piece is different something, and it's like the introspective brought tonight. Well done, ladies. Well done.
Thank you, young sir. Excuse,
Can,
excuse me,
can
Asian
y'all hear me
sir.
now? Can y'all hear me?
Uh huh.
Okay. Is it an echo or anything?
I don't hear an echo.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure you can hear me good. That's all.
Can y'all hear me good? Because I think my headset just went out.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead. I thought you were going to say something. I said what I said.
No, 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 no. I just changed headsets, so I just wanted to make sure that you guys could hear me. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah,
Um,
I've already said what I need to say as far as that goes. I just feel like we just got to teach our kids better nutrition, because let's just keep it real. We clock out too early, and there's
mhm.
and some of it is because of the diet that we have, and the lack of exercise, and the lack of vitamins and stuff, and nutrients. So I just feel like that's one important aspect, that we're kind of missing in our community. And these fast food places are like liquor stores. Um, Corporate America is, they're not interested in keeping you here or what have you. However, they can make money off of you, then they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And if you go into our neighborhoods, that's all you see is fast food places, uh, uh, liquor stores, and churches. They're on every corner.
Yeah. The fast food restaurants are filled. The liquor stores are filled, and the churches are empty.
Yes. I had to amen that one.
um, well, if no one else has anything else you want to say, well, first of all, let me ask: do you have anything else you want to say? Because after this, I'm going to read the starred comments. There are a bunch of them, and then we're going to end this. So if y'all have anything else you want to say, go ahead.
I was really hoping that some younger people would come up on the panel because I was really interested
Uh huh.
in listening to the challenges that they're having today,
Uh huh.
and and how they felt about things today. Just to kind of pick their brain and their mind.
Yeah, I think Real was the really the only the youngest person. I guess Shanice couldn't. Shanice was saying she had background noise, so she couldn't really chime in. So I did invite someone else, but they decided not to join the panel. I'm not calling any names. I'm not trying to shame anybody, but this is a young person um,
Hmm.
who chose not to join the panel for whatever reason. I
Hmm.
don't hold it against the person.
Hmm.
So I guess most of the people that come to the channel are older, I guess. I know Senna's in her 40s, which to me is young, but I
Hmm.
was I was thinking more of people in their 30s and younger.
Yeah, the 20s and 30-year-olds. That's who I
Mhm.
wanted to hear from,
Yeah.
because they're the ones that this is their future.
Uh-huh.
And we're even failing them in environmental issues.
Yeah.
Because they won't do anything about global warming, and it's going to cause the kids to be sick.
Yeah.
The greenhouse gases and all the pollution in the air. And so it's just not fair to them. And even, with the way this man is spending money, they're
Mhm.
not going to have any money to make a lot of investment in. Like I said, it's not that many of them even have a real job So where the taxes going to come from? So it's just a lot
Yeah,
that we're failing them on so many different levels.
yeah. And I think
And
I know.
honestly, mhm.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, no, no. I was gonna. Go ahead. Go ahead and say what you were gonna say. I was just gonna say the last things that I wanted to say.
And I was just gonna say um, that yeah, this is not a political channel, not a political conversation, but politics are a part of life, and this is how I see it. I believe that we should be teaching our children how important it is to vote. And a lot of people don't believe that your vote matters. But I see it this way: if your vote didn't matter, why would people try to fight so hard to keep you from voting if it really didn't matter?
Right.
So that's what I have to say on that. Go ahead, Joe.
So, I don't know if it was understood, but I really didn't feel my take was not that we failed the younger generation as I didn't feel that we failed them
Mm-hmm.
because we were trying to, in all accounts, do better for them. But because of that, it ended up being not, to their detriment in a sense, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, and I totally feel we can't keep raising them without resilience, without being able to be resilient. Because personally, I think if we continue to live, I know everybody wants to be comfortable and have a comfortable life, but if we the only way to have a comfortable life is with when we learn discipline. We've got to learn the discipline in order to have a complete comfortable life. And I think without it, it'll always collapse under pressure. Just like, an actual building, if it's built without being able to sustain the weight, it's going to collapse under that pressure. And I think that's what's going to happen to the generation that continues to be raised without any kind of discipline and uh, any kind of learning strength and learning that what you need, when you need to pick up your big girl panties and go for it. I think that's the main thing. Honestly, thank you so much for letting me up here, though. I
Well, you
truly, when you
welcome.
first mentioned it, I was like, yes, we need to talk about this because I totally, like, I mean, and I was honest. I'm telling you, my own son doesn't read. I mean, he's learning, but he
Uh-huh.
doesn't even read cursive. And I'm just being honest. Like, it is a lot. Thank you so much, though.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you joining the panel. Look who we have here.
Well, we're finna get ready to go. But
Hmm.
She,
let me do my
I think
final
she
thought.
thinks this. Wait a minute. I think she thinks this is SBK's channel.
I think
If
so
she
too,
can
because
just come up
I'm
on the
definitely getting ready
panel.
to roll out of here. But as far as my final thought, I feel like we failed our kids on a certain level.
Mm-hmm.
Like Joe said, we were trying to give them too much, and I think we overcompensated in giving.
Yeah.
Um, we failed to let them know how life go for real on so many levels. I remember going to the ATM and my son just asking me, he saw me go to the ATM. He used to see me get money at the bank. And so one day he asked, "Can I just take your card and go get money?" And I was like, "Well, I really don't have that much money in the bank." And he was like, "I didn't think you had to have money. I just thought you put your card in there and you just get money out." And I'm like, "No, my whole paycheck goes in there and then I go and pull it out." And so I didn't realize that he didn't know, that you have to deposit money in the bank in order
Uh-huh.
to get money out of the bank. So that was a very teachable moment for me, to try to teach him about banking. You get so inundated with your everyday life, and you have the best intentions. You do everything that you can. You try to bring the values that you had when you were raising up, when you were raised. And sometimes that's still just not good enough. But one thing about it, we can't go back, but we definitely can go forward. So
Right.
whatever mistakes that we've made in the past, we could try to write that. We could try to make sure that we dot some I's and cross some T's. And I know a lot of times we feel like I feel like this all the time. My children are not listening to me. And then they'll do something and show me that they are listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people, like in my immediate family, everybody look up to me. For the longest, I had no idea that they were looking up to me. I was just doing what I did, I was just doing me. And when they grew up and they were all telling me, okay, well, I used to watch you do this, I used to watch you do that. And so you have to be very cognizant of what you're doing with your kids, because kids do learn from precepts and examples. So you have to try to be the best example that you can be. And you're not going to get it right 100% of the time,
Right.
but you have to be very cognizant of what you're doing and try to make sure you instill the best values that you can instill in your children. And if you don't, right now we have all the technology in the world. We didn't have that when we were growing up. We had to go to the encyclopedias and the dictionaries. We had to crack that open to find out information. Now
Or go
information
to the
is at our
library.
fingertips. I'll go to the
Yeah.
library. Yeah. And so information is at our fingertips now. So anything we don't know, we definitely can look it up. So I feel like that's a plus for the new generation now. And so, they do have some tools and skills that we didn't have that they can actually use for their very own children. But thank you for letting me come on the panel today.
Oh, you're
And
welcome.
it has been a great topic. And it was great talking to everybody. And I hope everybody have a nice day that's in the chat also.
Thank you. I'm gonna let Vaughn say a few words if she wants to say something about the question of if the older generation has failed the younger generation. So Vaughn, come off of mute and let us know what you think about the question.
Hello, everyone. How are y'all?
We're good. Thank you.
Hi, honey. We're good.
Hey,
So,
Don.
hi, sis. Hi, wonderful Jess. Miss Al. So, I'm sorry, y'all. That's Jim in the background. So, um, my answer is really just no. Um, I just got through discussing it with Jim. He says yes. Two younger people in their 30s. Different opinions. He feels yes, and I feel no. And I just want y'all to know there's an age difference in our parents. So his father and mother, well, his mother would have been y'all's age, but his father is in y'all's age group. My mother is, I think, 10 years off of y'all. So I say no because my mom was very much so hands on with me in a lot of different places, and she wasn't in a lot of different places. But I can speak for myself and say she did try to instill certain things in me that I felt wasn't important. I know that sounds crazy, but that's just honest to God truth. And there are some things that she's instilled in me that people say since I was a kid that I was too grown, too smart, um, had an old soul, whatever you want to call it. And he says that he feels yes, the older generation did fail us because he feels that his parents just kind of left him to learn things and figure it out. And he says he understands why I say no because of the age difference in our parents. So that's really just all I have to say about it. And I say no because I feel like there's a lot of stuff, my mom, a lot of older people, who gave wisdom to me about advice, even, actual, learning tools that I just decided, I don't really care about that, or I'm going to try something different, and I failed or whatever. And it's like, oh, maybe I should have tried it their way. But no, I don't feel the older generation failed. I'm going to say me. So,
Okay, well thank you for your opinion on the matter.
yeah.
Next time we have a discussion about older people and younger people, I'm gonna reach out or do my best to reach out to more younger people. Because, like I said, what I said, I want to hear more points of view from younger people because they are the next generation. Or you all, talking to you, Vaughn, you all are the next generation. So, thanks again, y'all, for joining the panel, and thanks for participating, um, for giving your opinions, your points of view. I appreciate you all. Real drop down, but thanks, Real. Thanks, Shanice. She had background noise, so she wasn't able to say anything. But thanks. I said what I said. Thanks, Joe. And thanks, Vaughn. You came a little late, but you did come. So thank you. Now, I'm not going to read all of the starred comments, but I am going to pick a few and read them. So please don't take it personal if I don't um, read your comments. I did see your comments, but I don't want to be on here too much longer. Blaze was talking about muting Shanice a little piece, and I would just say no comment, Blaze. Um, Blaze said, he said, oh, I missed rule 1 and 2. Rule 3 he said, stop making it rain and start stacking up for a rainy day. And that was in response to people spending more than they make or spending everything that they make, and people trying to survive off of social media when it's really not guaranteed. So you need multiple income sources. Um, um, Wanda was agreeing when I said what I said, was talking about the nutrition thing, about stop feeding our kids junk. And Wanda said that McDonald's is poison for sure. Let me see if I have any more comments that I want to pull out. I don't know what happened to the other comments, y'all, but there are some. It says that there were over 20, but I don't see all of them. But anyway, I appreciate everybody who came to the live. Thanks to everybody who spoke in the chat, who participated in the chat. And I want to go over, thanks again to everybody who was on the panel. I want to go over everybody that I saw today: Shanice, Blaze, Joe, I said what I said, Senna, Joshua, Jamila, Real, SBK, V, Vaughn, Wanda, and Fear No Mortals. Thank you all for coming. If you missed most of the live, feel free to go back and watch the replay. And leave a comment also that helps with the algorithm. So again, thank you all. I love you all. God loves you even more than I do. And then I really do love you all. So you all continue to be blessed. And more importantly, continue to be a blessing to someone else. And if the Lord allows, we will be back on Thursday. I'm not sure what we'll talk about, but we will be back on Thursday. Make sure that you always are mindful that somebody is watching you and you are somebody's role model, whether you want to be or not. You are somebody's